Dark Souls 3 is a game of many possibilities and immense challenges. There's a wide range of weapons and the ability to invite your friends to aid you in your journey. Personally, I always used greatswords and had an ally with me throughout. Flipping the script on myself, I'm going to be going through all of Dark Souls 3 with only a dagger and no ally to watch my back. Losing all my range, power, and confidence, I charge forward. Daggers follow the normal convention of the melee weapons in Dark Souls 3. I'm starting with the thief for the bandit's knife, which will carry me through most of this run. While refreshing my memory on how to play the game with Gundir's blade, the knife shows its strength and allows me to vanquish him on the first try. After lighting the Firelink Shrine, I bought the dagger with thoughts of it being superior to my glorious bandit's knife. After failing to jump on the roof more times than I want to admit, we move forward onto the first real area, the High Wall of Lothric. I don't think any... After stabbing the innocent people of this land in the back, we find our poor friend Greyrat. Dangling freedom in front of his eyes, I press forward. Forgetting that the old lady doesn't have a bonfire, I head to Vort. To regain my karma, I let the poor rat man out of his jail and promise to help him. With my first real enemy approaching, the run is truly starting. Getting my face smashed in time after time, I struggled and changed nothing until I stumbled upon my victory. A harder battle than it should have been, but a success either way. And as my nasty friends come to carry me to my next adventure, hopes are high. My hopes immediately disappear as I get flanked by little men cosplaying as Greyrat. Pushing through, I end up getting help from a stray bomb, bringing me to the next bonfire. After taking a ride for no real reason to a soon-to-be dead man, I take on the extremely easy, cursed-rotted Greatwood, just to be crushed miserably. Running from my failures, I decide to help my onion brother with his stray demon, coasting to our victory. Then after finding my favorite ring, I decide it's time to return to the Greatwood. Swinging unrelentingly, I continue to fail until luck decides to take my side once more. Finally. Oh my god, I struggled way too hard on the cursed rotted Greatwood. Soon after, I find two of the few kind souls in this world, Horus and Henri. Immediately after, I find three of the worst people I have ever met. I slowly dwindle them down until I get outnumbered. Running to the ladder, I take one of them for a ride with me, and taking the opportunity to destroy the invader as they descend. Finding the next poor soul, the ember glowed as the crystal sage's purple glow started to dim. Surprisingly, the bandit's knife cut chunks off of the crystal sage's health. Bit by bit, the sage's glow disappeared until there was nothing left. Opening the door to find my next victim, I instead find my old Uncle Gale. Forgetting his tricks, I get sucked into the painting, instantly turning back before the frostbite gets too bad. Wandering onto the Deacons of Deep, I had zero worries. Unknowing of my time limit, I pushed the easiest fight into a life or death battle up into the last second.
Shame on you, you greedy guts. Thought you could outwit an onion.
Screaming and running through the swamp, I find all the fires, opening the gate to the first real blockade in the run. The Abyss Walkers gave me a run for my money, as I cannot comprehend more than one enemy at a time. Getting to the second phase was a huge breakthrough, but ultimately failed. Turning tail, I slay the stray demon and level up to give myself an edge. Doing my best to kill the extras while using them to kill the boss, Dropping the enemy count down to 1, my brain could finally understand what was happening. Continuously getting caught by his flames drained my Estus, leaving me with 1 hit to finish off the job. Running into the catacombs, I am immediately frustrated with the skeletons and how much they suck compared to Elden Rings. Not having a clear sign when they are going to get back up and not be able to finish them when they are on the ground is beyond frustrating. Wandering upon Henri brings a light in these bleak catacombs. If only Horus was here. Going for a drink, I find High Lord Wolnir hiding. Going back to my roots of the R1 spam, Wolnir goes down without a hitch. After getting back shots in an alley of Irithyll, I run back to the smoldering lake to dispose of the old Demon King. Struggling to find the tempo of the fight, I get him close to his death as he explodes into flames, catching me off guard. With a little focus and understanding, the Demon King kneels before me. Returning to Irithyll, I find Henri, who is willing to assist, but as she's not a dagger, I must reject her. Finding a Dark Knight admiring some fan art of Dark Souls 1, we fight to the death. Surprised that I didn't die, I roll into my death with the bonfire so close. As I am extremely scared of this man, I panic dodge every second I get. Never learning from my mistakes, I power through the second stage, focusing on the clone, making sure the fight is as close to a 1v1 as I can get it. Poorly keeping my calm without a hint of fear in my eyes, Pontiff falls. Running through the peaceful and snowy buildings, I get some more backshots while looking for treasure. Choosing not to learn, I get shot off a second time before I got lucky and my souls were safe enough to grab. Running past the danger, I find Henri taking a long overdue nap with the sword in her chest. After thinking my chat was deceiving me with an invisible bridge, I head to the Painted World. Initially, I didn't plan on taking on the DLC, but I was told the Akmor Rain Dagger, which would be an upgrade from what I have. After I fall for the game's tricks, I fight a giant puppy that was surprisingly easy. Finding a tower to protect me from the elements, a big burly man scares me off the edge. Thinking I can take on the dog once more, I get overrun. Fleeing to the church, I get rejected twice. In time, they will regret that decision. I then find a man minding his own business. After beating the brakes off of this man, he calls for backup. With my hatred of double battles coming back to me, I realize that the wolf is optional. As I hate the environment, I kick down a few trees before finding the most disgusting place yet. After asking Father for some of his tantalizing porridge, Sister Friede stops me. Wait, does she have 3 phases? Killing her for interrupting me, she comes back with a vengeance. Unable to beat Sister Friede, I run for the 3rd time in the DLC. With my hunger for blood growing, I decide to hunt down Aldrich the God Eater. After getting scared of the monster in his castle, I run to face Aldrich. Forgetting the bulk of their moves, I choose to panic. Relying on only the best of tactics, I R1 spam. After opening my eyes, I'm surprised to see that yet another Lord of Cinder has fallen. I say let's give it a shot. I say let's give it a fucking shot. Okay, one more try. I didn't even jump! Wait. After successfully jumping to my death, I figure out the correct way to get to Yorn. Moving on. This will be the largest brick wall of the run, with a 45 damage to his legs. 45? And yes, I later learned that the arms do take more damage. Yorm is typically one of the easier bosses in the game, but without capitalizing on the gimmick, the fight becomes a slog. So I decided to come back to him at a later date when I get good. Returning to the old lady, she did not give me any candy, so I decided that it's her time to meet the inevitable. Dripping and oozing from the ceiling comes the dancer of the Boreal Valley. For no real reason, I struggle immensely with them, and I refuse to believe my refusal to learn is my issue. And now that they can never dance again, I collect the blood of the statue to bring down a ladder for some reason. Don't ask me how this works. It just does. Running for my life, I figure out that fire is hot, and instead of running into the fire, I find the correct path, pulling a very conveniently placed lever to open up a giant door. I finally upgrade my weapon to plus 10 so I can take on the Dragon Slayer armor. He doesn't have many speedy moves, but when he hits pretty damn hard. His second phase likes to mix things up a bit with throwing deadly rocks and having heavily delayed strikes. But, unsurprisingly, he falls just like the rest. Trying my best to think of ways to delay the Yorm fight, I remember Osiris. On the way to him, I took a detour to play Ring Around the Rosie just to get my ass beat in. Stumbling upon a shortcut, I run past the scary men and find the consumed king. He doesn't have any extremely difficult moves to avoid, and each hit broke him down quickly. The only struggle that I had was the length of my weapon and how much he liked to backpedal, which made it difficult to get hits off consistently. After I consumed Osiris' souls, I moved past and found my way to the unattended graveyard. Not remembering what to expect from here, I get invaded and panic. Not knowing how to deal with a magic user, I resort to my bread and butter, the R1 spam. Which was ultimately what caused my death. What? My controller disconnected! No! What? That was not fair. Aw, damn. Oh, you're dead. Running into Champion Gundyr, he destroys me time after time. Forgetting the distance on his attacks and the length of his combos, it wasn't until I realized to stick right up next to him, taking small hits where I could, that I finally made any progress. And doing what I always do, I smash my head against the wall until he finally falls. Still avoiding Yorm, I go to the Archdragon Peak, finding the Lightning Clutch Ring, which will be extremely helpful in the Yorm fight. I finish distracting myself and run towards the Ancient Wyvern. Navigating through the ruins, I prepare myself to give the Wyvern the biggest hug they will ever receive. Oh yeah. Woo! After teleporting, I beat the brakes off of this man before I find a giant lever that brought me to another dragon to kill. Ah! Ow, I rolled into it. Thinking the ankles were the prime spot to hit, the first phase took forever. Eventually learning that the head is the best place to hit the dragon, first phase goes by quickly with only the second phase left to figure out. Leveling up, thinking it will bring me the victory, I run back with newfound confidence, taking down the first phase with only one hit. Just to be taken down quickly in the second phase. Rushing and overreacting, I die early in the second phase, time after time. But after I calm down, I take my time and stick to his side so I can chip his health down. The lightning that he brings out throws me for another loop, but I figure it out quickly. Slowly but surely, he falls, leaving only Yorm left. Needing to adjust my build, I have to find Rosaria, who I have no clue how to find. I start running around cluelessly until I find my way. Sweet. After talking to her, I put most of my stats into Faith to bring up my lightning damage that will be key for the rest of the game. Switching to the dagger that I have the lightning infuse on, I realized that I wasted so many souls on the lightning resins. Putting on the clutch ring, I returned to my brick wall. Not avoiding any of the enemies on the way, I started on the wrong footing, making me worried that this is setting a precedent for how the fight's going to go. I try my best to hit his arms, but I often have to resort hitting the legs as he doesn't give me many opportunities. On a close observation, it looks like a leg hit now is 105 damage instead of the 45 it was before. Even though I over doubled my damage, the fight is still long and arduous. Doing my best to be cautious, I inevitably get hit. And that damage is sadly just over what my Estus could heal, which leaves my Lloyd's ring pretty much useless. Being pushed to my limit, I somehow defeat him on my first attempt back. I finally broke through my brick wall. As seen on stream, when I first fought Yorm, I spent way too much time with zero progress. And not only could I not use the Storm Ruler, I didn't have long enough range with my weapon to easily hit his arms. Oh, how I miss my greatsword. But with my head held high, I run straight for Lorien Lothric, the last Lord of Cinder. When I figured out that lightning was going to be useful for the next two bosses, I pushed forward without looking back. For the first time in my life, I entered a library, and I did my best to escape as quick as I could. After killing the Crystal Sage, I find my way out, but I have to run for my life. As I make it to Lorien Lothric with an entire army behind me, I forget completely about the teleporting gimmick. I still end up making it to the second phase on my first try, but fall short right after. The second phase can be expedited by hitting Lothric at the same time as Lorien, but with the dagger's length, it's hard to consistently hit both. But with not getting greedy and proper timing, I take the brothers down in no time. After collecting the last Lord's cinders, I bring them back to their throne, where they belong. At Lemon Almanac.
Okay, just don't suck in the beginning, and don't suck in the second half. That's my plan. That is my foolproof plan.
The final hurdle is finally in sight. The Soul of Cinder. He is the accumulation of all the past Lords of Cinder. He possesses many different fighting styles that constantly threw me for a loop. He can use a long sword, a great sword, curved sword, and even magic, with the curved sword's timing throwing me off the most. As I push through to the second phase, he removes the different forms and gives himself a larger range and lightning.
It's not a good one to be near. Oh, fuck me. Think about bad timing to try to heal. Again, bad timing to try to heal. We fucking did it. We fucking did it right where I died last time, too. Oh, what souls?
Pushing myself to the limit, I snuff out his ashes. Without many options available, I rekindle the flame, sacrificing myself and continuing the cycle. This challenge really pushed me out of my comfort zone and to actually think before attacking. While the R1 spam did work occasionally, I didn't plow through every enemy's poise like I could with the greatsword. My positioning also mattered a lot more, as the dagger is significantly shorter than most weapons. But in terms of a challenge run, this is pretty much nothing. So, don't forget to subscribe so you can watch me torture myself in the future.